Hello, 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 everyone. And by everyone, I mean, yeah, you people. Hello. So, good morning for me, or good evening. I don't know where you're watching this from, but for me, it's 10:01 right now. So, I'm just having my morning coffee and trying to figure out what we're going to be doing today. Um, Let me double check that everything is up and running because I just want to make sure that we are live. Last week, I actually created a LinkedIn event, but somehow the link between LinkedIn and Restream, which is the streaming software that I'm using, didn't work. So now I'm hoping I configure that correctly so we can see it. Let me put the chat here so I can see it. Awesome. I realized I didn't put any music on, and I'm gonna give that a try. In the last streams, I had like a lo-fi beat going on, but I feel that was kind of messing with the quality of sound. So yeah, let's try it without sound. Okay. I wanted to start today talking about some coffee updates. So last week I told you that my espresso machine broke. And I realized how dependent I am, or I was, from that machine. So for the past, I would say, couple of weeks, I've been making my coffee using a mocha pot plus a French press. And I'm going to explain you how I do that. So the first thing I do is I buy my beans. What's the English word for granos? Not grounded, but like the full bean. And so I'm using like a manual grinder to ground them up. And so I put that into my mocha, and then I make my coffee. And then for my milk, I'm currently using almond milk, but for my milk, I've been using the French press to put some air in it. And so the coffee is a little bit more creamy and stuff. So it kind of still feels like I'm using my espresso machine and the steaming one and so on. And yeah, it's been good. I can't complain about that, but I do miss my machine. I bought a new one, and it's hopefully arriving this weekend. So I'll keep you posted on that. I know most of you are here because of my coffee updates and my coffee conversations. So I'll keep you updated. What else do we have for today? I guess the first thing we can talk about is what happened in the last stream, and recap from there, and then talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. So let's talk about the last stream. So in the last stream, if I recall correctly, we were trying to build and generate a Ruby gem, and that didn't work. And I was also trying to implement some endpoints for this gem as well, but I wanted to test them out, and the gem wasn't building and so on. So I think I can let you know how I figured that out, the things I've been working on, and yeah, let's walk through that. So let me go to my code so we can talk about that. Sharing. I always debate whether to share just the top of the whole window, but I'm going to go with the whole window because I'm going to be using window. Entire screen. You know what? Just entire screen. This screen. Okay. Does that look okay-ish? I mean, I think you can read it. Let me know if you can't read it so I can zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So back to last week, what I was trying to do, I'm building this gem. Let me close Copilot for a bit so this looks a little bit more clean. And minimize organize all this. So I'm building this gem. It's called OpenFGA Ruby SDK. And as you can see, it has the same structure of any old gem. I generated this gem using, standard way of generating a gem. I don't even remember the command. I think it was like gem. I don't remember. Let's see, gem. No, okay. I'm not gonna look for that right now. But anyways, so I had this like generated code, and I was trying to build my gem, and it wasn't working. And to be honest, I've never actually built a gem myself. I've been using lots of gems throughout the years, but I've never built one from scratch. I've contributed to some, but never from scratch. So this whole part was already figured out before I even started working on any gem. So what was going on, and for this I'm going to show you the old code versus what I changed. That would be in the, where is it? It's the gem spec, here it is. Okay, so the old code was basically reading through my files. And if I recall correctly, this was reading through the files that are only in GitHub, and adding that to the gems code base to build it and whatnot. Because of reasons, and I think it's because I didn't have the right files in my git ignore or something like that, that wasn't working. So I ended up using this instead. And so basically what we're doing is we're going through all the files in my gem, and I'm ignoring the file or the files. It should be only one, but that end in .gem. Why? Because if I didn't do that, I was going to get this error saying that you're trying to build a gem that is going to contain itself. So this is weird. What are you doing? And that actually did the trick. And I was able to build the gem. So let's try it out here to see if we can do it. Do I have the command here? I think it's gen build dot. Okay. Would it be, oh, look, I don't have the right, I do not have the right one, but I have a to-do. I don't have a to-do, do I? Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. Gem build, I think it's without the OpenFGA gem spec. Let's try that. Okay. Dot, note to self, do not use gem build dot because that doesn't work. You got to specify the actual gem that you want to build. So this worked. I mean, I have a few warnings, description and summary are identical, that kind of stuff. That's okay for now. But it did generate this OpenFGA 0.1.0 file that you can see here. So this is our gem. So then if we wanted to use that gem, we got to do gem install and then the name of the gem. I made a mistake. I don't know, when I press tab, it's like my computer doesn't like it. And so I have to wait a little bit. OpenFGA 0.1.0.gem. I'm going to install that. And that's installing the gem locally. One gem install. And so that's what we were trying last week. And then my last attempt of trying this was trying to use the gem. So I went into the interpreter and I was trying just to require the gem and just access anything. Like, just let me access it. I couldn't even require it, obviously, because I wasn't even building it correctly. The files were not there. So, when I was streaming, nothing made sense. But then after I figured it out, it all makes sense because I'm trying to build something incomplete, basically. So now here I can do OpenFGA, which is the name of my gem, and this works. And then finally I can access, for example, stores API is something that I'm using, and then I have like create store and this kind of stuff. So I can access it, and that is success. So that happened last week. it's funny how when you're here and you're streaming, and in my case I couldn't figure it out, but then after the stream ended, I was like, this is personal now, I need to fix this, and it actually happened very quickly. So I guess it's just this that kind of blocks you a little bit. I've heard it's a matter of time for people to like get used to it and whatnot, and I do feel more comfortable as I do it, but it's still kind of like, I don't know if anyone watching has gone through the same, like coding live versus coding on your own. Happy to hear. Okay, what we're gonna do now? Well, yeah. When I finally managed to get the gem up and running, it was built, it was running, I could install it, I can use it. Then my next step was to actually start implementing some stuff. And what I started working on last week was I'm gonna open the pull request directly. The code, please, not the code, but the conversation, is the add stores endpoint. And if you recall, or maybe not, I created this from an issue, which was about implementing store endpoints and define basic gem structure. So I was having a discussion here of, what's the folder structure we want to have, how we want to call things. And we were talking about the generated code, like, do we want to use this code? Do we want to just do it ourselves? So for now, we are not using the generated code. We're actually using the code. We're writing the code ourselves. But yeah, that was pretty much what I was working on. And then now we can go to here, check the files. 98 files. It sounds like a lot. I don't like doing such big pull requests, but I had to rename a bunch of things, and I think that's the majority of it. So yeah, as you can see, as I was mentioning, I had to put the .gem in my git ignore, and I think with this, the code that I had previously would have worked. But I'm happy with the code that I have now, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And I also have a .m file that I'm using for my environment variables, so I'm going to get rid of that. Gem file is not interesting for you right now, nor this file. I think the most interesting file would be the stores API. So as you can see, I change a lot in the models, but honestly, it's just this. It's just renaming from OpenAPI client, which is from the generated code, from the OpenAPI generator to OpenFGA. So yeah, that's what all these models are. And then, as you can see, the structure is API models. And so I created this stores API. And I also have a class for API errors. This is generated code, and you can see it here. I kept this because I thought it was useful and understandable. Because my thing with generated code is that sometimes you read it and you're like, what is going on? And so I did change a few things, but for the most of it, it's just a simple class that has a code, response header, response body, a message, and then it shows an error, period. Cool. So going to my stores API, the idea of this file is to implement these 4 endpoints from the OpenFGA API. And the 4 endpoints are to get a list of stores, create a stores, get a store, and delete a store. So that's pretty much what I want to have there. And if I go back to my code, that's more or less the code that I have here. So I created a helper function, for example, for the create store method. I have a helper function that I call make requests, that you say which kind of request you're trying to make. You pass the path and then the body, if there's a body. And then if there's an error, we're going to raise an error using our API error class. And finally, we're going to deserialize the response into one of the models that we have. So let me go step by step on that. The first thing is we're going to make the request. So if I go to that code, I might actually be better off showing you here. So lib OpenFGA API stores, put this down a little bit, and I'm going to go to make request. So this is my make request function. Very simple. Could you please explain what do you mean by generated code? I'm a newbie here. Yes. Wait, let me try. Let me see if I can I do this? Okay. So yeah, for those of you, before I continue jumping on this, because otherwise we're going to be lost for a while. So the thing is, I'm generating a Ruby SDK for an authorization system called OpenFGA. And OpenFGA is based, or the API is based on OpenAPI. And so OpenAPI has a generator, and so does OpenFGA, by the way, to generate SDKs for different languages. So what we did in the past weeks was to generate the Ruby SDK using the OpenAPI generator. And this is more or less the code that we got. If you see, it's very similar to mine in the sense of we're keeping the structure, we're keeping the API error that I showed you there. But then instead of using the code that we have here, that as you can see is very well commented and all of that, unlike my code, but that's a TBD for myself. A TBD, no, a to-do for myself. We are just creating it ourselves. And the reason why is to see if we can improve the developer experience by offering, more explicit code and showing people how it's done. Because, for example, if you look at these methods, this works. Like this will create a store with HTTP info, and this is very good code. But when I read this, I'm overwhelmed a little bit. And so if I want to contribute to this, I want it to be not overwhelming, if that makes sense. So that's the generated code I was talking about. So we might be using all these models, for example, we're using because they're the base of everything and it just made sense. And then the actual interface we are creating ourselves. Okay, now let me figure out how to not show the comment. Nice. Okay, with that said, so now that you have that context, talking about the stores API, I was talking of this make request method. And what I'm doing here is just very straightforward, I would say. Based on the request type, I'm generating a different kind of request, like a get, a post, a delete. For now, I have those three. And I'm creating the request. That's what this method does. And then, depending on the response, you raise an error or not. And the last thing is we are going to deserialize the response into one of the models. Now, the deserialize method, I did use the generated one from the OpenAPI generator. And you'll see it because, again, this is the generated code. I think every time you see a long comment like this, you can tell it wasn't written by me. But I will document it, don't worry. Just I'm still in development mode. So yeah, the deserialize function, what it's doing is it's going to take a response and it's going to return you the response. I don't want to say parse, but deserialize into the model. So, for example, let's see if we can test out the create store one. Not now. Leave me. Okay. So if I do store and then OpenFGA stores API dot create store. I need an argument. I need the name of the store. Test one. Of course, we get errors. Initialize. I need to see how I'm sending this. I did make some last changes yesterday, so I might have name into string. Okay, I guess we're gonna debug this together. My idea was to show you what this looks like, but I think I'm missing a JSON here. So let's just debug this together. Actually, not here. I'm gonna do it in the make request here. You know what? I think the error is that I don't have my two things. Actually, I do not have a .m. So this, what is this doing? This is reading nothing. This is gonna fail. So let me do that. I'm gonna create a .m right here, and we're gonna put that variable. So I'm trying to make a request to the FGA API URL, which is going to be running in localhost, but I'm not setting that in my .m. So I'm going to do that. And I think it's db localhost. It's not 3000. I think it's 8080. That's one thing. The other thing is, as I can see, I don't have Docker running, and I run my OpenFGA server with Docker. So that's the first thing to do. We probably need to run our Docker. Hello? Did my laptop die? No. Let's see. Did you die? Oh no, there it is. Okay. Gonna wait a little bit until it runs. Until it started. Sorry. It's running. Okay. Double check here. Sure. So to run our FGA server, we can use this command that I literally got from the documentation. So we're going to do docker run on port 8080, and we have multiple ports because we have multiple things running. One's the server, one's the API, and I think the last one is the playground. So I'm going to run that. And I'm going to make sure that this is actually running. So I am going to open the playground. There you go. And if you see right now, I don't really have anything created here. I don't have a store, anything. So I'm gonna try to create one, and that should now work. I'm gonna keep a new terminal. I don't think I need to make any change. Oh no, yeah, I do need to make changes because I added the .m file. So I probably have to rebuild my gem. So we're gonna do gem build and gem install OpenFGA dot 0.1.0.gem and also open IRB. So I'm gonna build, install, and open the interpreter in just one command because I'm lazy to do it 3 times. And I'm gonna drink coffee in the meantime. That was fast. Okay. Again, I need to require my open. No. Just OpenFGA. Good. And let's see what happens if we try to FGA stores dot create. And we're gonna send the name. So test. Just test, because I don't have any stores created. This is the code that I changed yesterday. Well, actually, I didn't change this code. Rubocop did. But let's debug it together. I'm getting an error saying may request undefined method body for nil. Of course, because I'm probably not sending something. So the error is here. The error is in the make request. So it's probably here. Request. Oh, okay. Yeah, this makes sense. So I'm trying to set something for request, but I haven't really created requests. And I think this is one of those Ruby magic things. So I actually wanted to keep it inside the when the how you call it, the switch case. But I guess I'm gonna have to take it out and put it somewhere else. I'm not a fan because this is only okay. Let's do it. Let's take this out, and we are going to set the body. Thank you, Copilot, if there's a body. Or if we want to be more idiomatic, just because I love using unless, just set it if the body is not nil, basically. Okay, let's test that out. Again, building, installing, and open the interpreter. Require OpenFGA. And what happens if I do this? I got an error again on line 11. Is this even building? Why am I getting the error up there? Let's see. Name, body. Oh wait, is that a name? Could it be because I'm setting this? But if I'm setting a value, wait, is this how you set default values in Ruby, or is this a Python thing? Okay, I don't trust this. Let's test it. Oops. Okay, require, test, same error. Okay, what is going on here? Why is this toString? This was Rubocop because that didn't need that. Let's see what's going on here. Let's put a binding.pry here. I assume I have to rebuild this. Yep. Rebuild. Fun fact is I actually have tests for this that I wanted to show you. Ooh, what happened here? Where's my code? Oh wait, that's the code. I was editing the wrong file. This is where I want to put my binding pry. I was editing the file that was built instead of my actual real file. Now this should remain there, my binding pry. Okay. And let's test this. There's our binding pry. Name is test. And so when I do this, define method body for new. Line 50. That's an error that makes more sense than what I was getting. Oh, it happened again. I edited the wrong file. So I was editing the generated code and not my actual code. Not the generated code, sorry, my gems code, this one, and not this one. So let me write that again. Let's do it like this for now. And again, rebuild. Require OpenFGA because we're gonna import. I lost it apparently. OpenFGA. And do I have this here? Yeah. Not sure what's going on there. Store, just one, OpenFGA, stores API dot create store, and the name is going to be test1. See, name is okay, and then if I try to make the request, oh, it worked. Okay, yeah, so it was definitely that error. So let me remove my binding pry from here. So I managed to create a store. So if I go to my playground and I refresh this, I should have a store here. Yeah, I should have a store here. So it's test1, and then I have like a random default schema that is not necessarily mine. Yeah, it's just defining some different types and relations. So, okay, that worked. But like I said, I actually have tests and I did make some changes. So I'm going to run my tests. I'm using RSpec and it's probably going to break something. Maybe not. Okay, it didn't. But now that I've run the tests, I might want to walk you through them. So let's go to the tests. My tests are in spec, OpenFGA, and Stores API spec. Right now, I only have one file because I'm only testing, the Stores API. Full disclosure here, I did lean on Copilot a lot for generating these tests, and they were all failing. But having that code to start with was very useful because I do struggle a lot when writing this kind of tests. So yeah, so let me show you the create stores tests that I have. I have different contexts for all the different endpoints that I have. In this case, I have for create, I have a context for getting a list of stores, and one for getting a store, and one for deleting the store. So we're going to focus on the create one. So what's going on here is I'm doing some, like setting some variables in the beginning, like the create store response, which is what I wanted to show you when I was trying to do this and it failed. So I will show you. And then before any of the tests run, we're going to set some stuff like we want the stores API to be able to receive the make request method with these attributes and return that response. So we're mocking some data here so we are able to actually test the code. Same for the response header, response body, and yeah, that's what we're setting. And then we have two simple tests here. So we have a returns 201 when creating a store. And so what we're testing is that this is the happy path, everything went well. And then we have the error for non-successful responses. In this case, I'm testing with a bad request. And this is using the OpenFGA API error class. Basically, when there's an error, what I'm doing is I'm going to raise an exception with my custom class. So the create response or create store response. I gotta say it slowly. I don't want to build my gem from scratch. That's what I wanted to show you earlier, and I forgot because I got the error. And then store just one. I'm gonna create another one. Stores API create. Whoops, test 2. Oof, I missed the stop it. Okay. Stores API create store random name. Yeah, I have a binding prime there. That's fine. But then store is of this type. Let me put this over and show you better. So store is actually a create store response that has some data. So the generated code from the OpenAPI generated is actually useful for this kind of stuff. So I'm definitely reusing that. There's also models for the create store create store request and some other requests. I'm not using that at the moment, but I feel it could be useful in the future. So right now I'm just going to stay with the responses. And so just as I use the create store response, I also use the list stores response for when we're getting a list of stores, which I think we can probably test that here. OpenFGA stores is OpenFGA stores API dot stores, and then stores is a list of, well, it has two things. It has a continuation token, but that's for another live stream, and the list of stores. We have two because I created test one and test one apparently. Oh, we have three actually. We have test one, and test two. But yeah, similarly, I have the get store response. The only one where I'm not using a one of these models is the delete store, because delete store actually returns 204, which is no content. So we don't need that. So I'm just deserializing into string. And if you do that, you pass this to the deserialize method, this will just return the body as a string. That's it. Cool. Okay, so far what we did a recap on what happened last week. We talked about building and running the gem and the mistakes and learnings from that. We went through the stores API file, or like we did a little bit of a walkthrough, and we went through the specs, and I think that's it. So I mean, there are some things we can do in this file. For example, I think in the future, the make request, the deserialize, and the, all these helper functions that I have here are probably going to have to be extracted into their own model, which is pretty much how they're generated. They're generated into their own model. But as an MVP or as a star, I just wanted to have everything here, make it work, and just make sure that, I have code working. But I think as a first version, I might be okay with this. So maybe we can say this. We can send this for for how you call it, review. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I have a bunch of stuff in here. This is a very long pull request, but hey, at least we got some stuff done. No, I can't review my own pull request. I have it as a draft right now, so I'm just going to. Oof, my laptop really struggles when I'm live streaming it. So we're gonna request. We're gonna remove this whip label and maybe a better description here. This PR adds the stores endpoints to the SDK. It also adds specs for it. Very explicit. I don't. Okay. Let me leave a comment saying like FYI. Well, he's gonna see it when he sees the models, right? So let's just update this, and we're gonna send this for review. Wait. Where is the? Here. I was like, where is it? Ready for review. Okay. A bunch of commits there. So we're sending that for review with a bunch of files. Good luck. I'm actually going to leave a comment in the issue. Just like, feel free to check this out. I swear my laptop is struggling. I don't know if you can see, but like, can you see that like blue bar there is struggling? Let's see. I have a first version of this. Feel free to review and comment. Cool. So We have our PR for that and our 4 endpoints. I still have like 20 more minutes for stream. I was a bit nervous because my camera was failing. It's like, I don't know, maybe the cable's a bit flaky or something, but it's working. So yeah, so far it's working. Okay. So I think the next thing we can do is work on the authorization models. I do think my colleague was going to work on defining more or less this part of the the actual interface design. Let's call it like that. Like I'm more working on the internal part of it. But I guess we could get started on. Let me close all this. We can get started on the authorization models while we're here. Why not? Again, this is what always happens to me, that I have a plan and then I improvise saying like, yeah, let's start on this, and then everything's gonna fail, but we're gonna try it. So let's talk about authorization models quickly. So the authorization model in an OpenFGA system is basically what you see here. You see authorization model, and then we have a model, and then we have different types, relations. But it's basically saying or dictating which type has a relation with this other type, or who can do what under which conditions. That's pretty much what the authorization model does. So in this example, this is a kind of a complex example. If you can see, there's a lot going on. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is kind of like a Google Drive example. So you have users, you have groups of users, you have folders, and you have documents. And so, for example, if you share a folder with a group of users, then every user in that group has access to that folder and whatnot. And so that's kind of what's being modeled here. So if we check, for example, for the document, what this is saying is, so a document has the following relations. So a document, or like, can be read by a viewer if the user has the viewer relation assigned, or if the user has the owner relation assigned, or if they're the viewer from the parent. And then you can have as many like recursive relations as you want in this. And so this is what the authorization model is. And you'll see that you have like two ways of defining this. One is using OpenFGA's domain-specific language, which is this one. You have model, groups, relations, blah, blah, blah. Or you can also define it as a JSON. Oh, I can't see it here as a JSON. Wait, can I paste it? Yeah. I have here as a JSON. I have some errors, but just to show you. I find it a little bit easier to read it and to understand it in OpenFGA DSL, because JSON can be a little bit more long and harder to track, I would say. So let me just go back to the DSL. So that's what the authorization model endpoints would do. You can create a new authorization model and then get your authorization models or a single one. So let's take a look at the create one. In this case, actually, I think the create one is I'm definitely not going to have enough time to talk about this one, because look at, this is what you can have in the body. The type definition, the types, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So maybe let me check like a get to see if I have time to do that. Yeah, get this one, for example. So to get an authorization model, let me go down to parameters and oh yeah, something that I haven't implemented yet on the stores API was the pagination. So that's a to-do. So we gotta work on that. But for now, so if you want to get an authorization model is associated to a store. And so we gotta send the store ID, and then a successful response would look like this. You'll have a list of authorization models with some type definitions, and your types are gonna be the user, the document, folder, etc. And then you'll have relations for each one of those, and more information there. This is a very long JSON, but yeah. And when it fails, you can get a bad request, not authenticated. I'm also not implementing authentication yet. That's like a next version for the SDK. So 401, 403, not found. 409 aborted due to a transaction conflict, and request. I should probably test for this one. I'm going to look into that. Cool. So let's look into this. I am going to create a new branch based off. Wait, do I have a binding point there? Because I don't want to have any. Okay. Close this. I'm going to open this bigger. What did I change here? I moved this. So let me commit this. Fix store. Fix. Make request issue with body. And let's push that to the PR. There we go. Again, I use a lot of aliases for Git. So every time you see G is Git, and then S is status minus A. I don't even remember anymore. D is diff, and CM is commit minus M. I'm very used to those aliases, and so when I don't have them, I'm like, what is this? Okay, I'm gonna base this branch off of this one. So I'm gonna go fed for feature authorization model endpoints. And nice. Okay. So how will this be looking like? So in my API, I have a stores API. So here, I'll create a new file, authorization models API.rb. And let me copy all of this and this and this we're gonna call authorization model, plural, authorization models API. Cool. So then I'm already thinking I want to use the make request and the deserialize and all that stuff. So the way the generated code did that was by having an API client here, I believe. This is where all of that was. Build, yeah, there's a build request. I actually like that name better than make request. Build request body, download file. There's a few things going on, but yeah, this is basically where this code is. So I'm going to copy from that because I like it. New file, API client.rb. And let's see. I'm not going to start on the configuration stuff just now. So I might just make it, yeah. Okay. So module is OpenFGA, and the class is API client. I'm gonna do this for now, and I'm gonna move this code there. Basically, anything that I can reuse. So make request, raise error from response, and then the deserialize stuff. Oh, and that this will make this file so much better. Oof. I think here. Yeah. Yes, I think I got them. Oh, this looks nice. Only the 4 endpoints. That's lovely. Okay. Here I have my stuff. This is gonna break all my tests. Let me see. Which is great. I think I would be sad if, not sad, but disappointed if my tests didn't break, because that means I'm not doing something right. But this is good. I mean, half of my tests are breaking, so that's okay. We'll figure that out. So I have my API client here, and what I'm wondering is, do I have to import that here to use it? How do I do it with the API error? I think I can just use it. Oh wait, now I'm using it here. I mean, yeah, I think I'm using it here. Let's see. Let's do a quick test on this class. So I'm going to build, install, and enter the interpreter. Require OpenFGA, and see if I can OpenFGA. How do you go? API client. It's not even here. Okay, what am I missing? I know what I'm missing. I'm not actually exposing that. So let's do that. Require FGA API. No, not API. API client. This needs to be exposed into my library. Otherwise, it's like, what's going on? So, I mean, I think so. We'll see. Building again. Require. All good. And now it's OpenFGA API client. Now it's visible. Great. Dot make request, and we're gonna make a get request. Let me look. So I don't remember path, and okay. And the path is going to be stores. So I'm going to list stores. Body. Okay. So that works. That's all I wanted to check. Just make sure that I could still access this. And what happens if I try to use it from the actual stores equals OpenFGA stores API dot stores? I get error saying, oh, the make request function is not here. So I might have to import that here. Actually, what I need to do is to call it API client and reference. Now this is it. Now this method lives into the API client class. So call it from here. And we'll see if that works. Same for the serialize. This will be from the API client. The serialize. No? And we'll test it. I wonder if this will fix my test. It won't, because I think I'm mocking some stuff. Let's see. Live refactoring with you all. Okay, so build, install, and run the interpreter. And need to require OpenFGA, make sure that's true, and test this out. Okay, I got something. Stores is something, so this works. Okay, how about my tests? Okay, now they're all failing. Great. It's okay. I'll fix them. I do like that this is here now, though. Feels more. I just want to have this here. Cool. I have a few minutes. Should I go into the tests or should I go with the new implementation? I'm going to go into the tests because I feel weird leaving this like halfway before starting a new thing. So let's see the error. In this case, can you see the error there? Let me make this bigger. So one of the errors is uninitialized constant API client. That is true. You know why? Because I'm not even importing that here. So I'm going to require OpenFGA API client and see if that helps. Nope. So in this example, OpenFGA stores API when deleting a store raises an error for not successful response. Argument error, not an HTTP URI, has to be of kind API error. Okay. I'm getting a lot of that, it seems. Yeah, another one. So that we're getting the same error for everyone. And I'm getting that here. So I'm seeing two errors here. One is about the URI and one is about the, oh no, they're all about the URI. URI. Cool. Well, let's debug one of them and see what's going on because it's not clear to me. Okay. So one thing here is how I'm mocking the make request. So I'm mocking it from the stores API and that is no longer there. So make request now lives in API client. So let's run this context to see if that helps anything. Let me check the other tests. Here I need to change that as well. And I'm going to try that context alone. So our spec, spec, OpenFGA, API, stores API, and the context, I need to pass the line 13. So it's going to run all the tests within that context. Okay. Now we get one failure saying that the raise error from response is not on the stores API, which is true. So also here, the serialize is no longer there. So I'm going to change that. Wait, this is line 36. So here. Oh yeah, that's here. Raise error from response is no longer here. So if we wanted to call it, I don't know if I like it anymore like this. Look, feels like weird. I'm gonna have to have a discussion about this. What do you think? Is it weird that it's all calling to like external things? I don't know. Because this is just like a little interface for it. Well, let's fix this for now. And then I'm gonna have a discussion with my colleague, see if this makes sense. Let's test this out again. Is it the same line? I don't think I changed anything. Oops. Okay, so that helps. So now let me fix this in the rest of the test. So whenever I'm using a method that used to be in my stores API, now I'm going to reference it to my API client. May request is an example, and the serialize as well. May request, and let's see, may request and the serialize, may request, and same for deleting. Make request and deserialize. I think that's it. Let's test this out. Okay, only one failure out of 8. So not an HTTP URI. Okay, yeah, we have that error. So it's in the last one. What are we missing here? Oh, I missed this. Okay. Okay, now they're all green. That's good. That is good. So I think it's been like about an hour since I started, and I'm very tired. I'm not gonna lie. This is going through code and talking out loud is tiring. Because I mean, unlike per programming, I guess I get some feedback. So if you ever want to comment, like Daniel did, thank you, Daniel, for your comment. I'm happy to hear from you, so we can have like more interaction. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little recap of what happened today. Let me get to here so I can stop sharing my screen. Ooh, I got a comment. Wait, before I go, because I'm gonna show it here. It says, could you use JSONcrack.com editor to see the data in a fancy way? Okay. Let me see if I can open that from here. It's not letting me. JSOncrack.com/editor. Let's take a quick look. JSOncrack.com/editor. Ooh, this is nice. Thank you, Ariane, for this. This is very nice. I like it. It's kind of like a class diagram, but not per se. I really like this. Thank you very much for this. I might use it on the next one. And someone is asking, first time here, what is the project about? Maybe later. So hello, thank you for joining us. As I was about to close and then I got like 2 comments out of nowhere. The project is about generating a Ruby SDK for OpenFGA. And OpenFGA is an authorization system based on relationship-based access control. They do have a few SDKs for .NET and Python and Go and whatnot, but there's not one for Ruby. And so this is what I'm working on. And yeah, this is the repo I'm working on. If you ever want to take a look, it's under my personal GitHub, and then OpenFGA Ruby SDK. This is obviously a whip, and I'm working on it every week a little bit. But yeah, it's obviously taking time to make the whole API. So yeah, that's what the project is about. And now before I leave, I just wanted to say thank you for those who joined me and, saw me suffering with all my errors. Although we have to admit that I had way less errors than last week and the week before that. So I'm kind of proud for that. So what we're going to be doing next is this week I started working on the authorization models API, and I'm trying to give trying to define more or less a structure for this. So far what we did is we're extracting the common methods into this API client, but we're going to figure that out as we go. I'm also going to talk with my colleague to see if we're in agreement about this, because this is open source, and so yeah, we're talking about it on on the GitHub issue. But yeah, thank you very much. Next week, I'll probably continue working on this, give you an update on what I've done while I was not on live stream. And yeah, I might try to do the stream later in the day, in the afternoon, but also I will let you know, I will create an event on LinkedIn or similar. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you next week. Bye.